15 years ago, in the first modern era, Western forces started eliminating Muslim leaders one by one. Who stopped them? No one stopped them. But the Westerns seized the opportunity, quickly growing in the size and influence to the point of Muslim domination. They took them all by surprise, even Imam Khamenei. They called him the supreme leader, and he's the only one who knows what's coming. Westerns are not the only threat to their world. The most powerful enemy, the dictators, still hunts. Dictators showed us a glimpse of the future. They knows what drives us, what we believe. Being a human comes down to one thing, to one single question. What are you prepared to sacrifice? When they came up with the nuclear bomb, they were ready to sacrifice a whole nation, where their own flesh and blood never held them back. They were ready to sacrifice that too, like a spare part. Victory costs every time you pay little more. He saw a glimpse of what's coming, and there was nothing left of him to stop it. When the deadliest domination falls upon us, what do we do then? What do you do? In the realm of global politics, power and self-interest often dictate the fate of human lives. History has witnessed the downfall and assassination of certain Muslim leaders. Events driven by long-term political agendas and strategic maneuvers. Today, we peel back the layers of these narratives, stories that are frequently debated yet often remaining shrouded in secrecy. We look at the chapters history frequently whispered about, the secrets America doesn't want you to know. Saddam Hussein held the reins of Iraq from 1979 to 2003. His era came to a definitive and violent end in 2003. When USA led a full-scale invasion, the Iraq War. The justification presented to the world was presence of weapons of mass destructions. However, the dust of war settled. No such weapons were found. These military operations and the carefully planned regime changed that led to the total collapse of Saddam's power. In 2006, the world watched as his execution was carried out. Behind the scenes, the true motives for removing Saddam were far more strategic. Establishing Western dominance in the Middle East and securing influence over the global oil market. In this theater of war, establishing democracy was merely a slogan, a carefully crafted piece of propaganda. Muammar Gaddafi held the reins of Libya for over 4 decades, from 1969 to 2011. While the world saw a revolution, behind the scenes, a much more dangerous game was being played. A challenge to the global financial order. His goal was to move Africa's vast oil and natural resources trade away from the US dollar and throw out this gold-backed currency. Had this succeeded, the dominance of the petrodollar would have been under direct threat. Leaked emails from then Secretary of the State Hillary Clinton later confirmed these fears, revealing how the US viewed Gaddafi's gold-backed plans with extreme concern. The end came in the city of Sirte, as Gaddafi convoy attempted to escape. The first strike were not from the rebels on the ground, but from a US Predator drone and French fighter jets. While it was the local militia who gave ultimate carried by the out of killing, it was America's civilians and the air power that sealed his fate by cutting off the every path of escape. In the eyes of many analytics, this was not a local uprising. It was America's indirect but decisive operation to protect its economic interests. Ayatollah Khamenei. He served as the supreme leader of Iran from 1989 until 2026. In a joint operation, the US and Israel collaborated to assassinate Ayatollah Khamenei. According to the United States, Iran was seeking to develop nuclear weapons. However, the underlying reasons were different. America does not want any state in the Middle East to become a dominant power. Such a shift would mean the Middle East would slip from the control. If this control were lost, nations would no longer be compelled to purchase fuel using US currency. This very country, which speaks of human rights, is the only nation in the history to have dropped atomic bombs on civilians. In 1945, in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan, hundreds of thousands of lives were extinguished in a matter of seconds. During the Vietnam War, America deployed the lethal chemical weapon, Agent Orange. Under the guise of destroying forest cover, they spread toxic dioxin, which devastated not only nature but causes cancer and birth defects in hundreds of thousands of Vietnamese people. To this day, disabled children were born in Vietnamese soil, a living wound of America's so-called protection of democracy. Guantanamo Bay, in Cuba. Here, prisoners have been held for years without trial. The inhuman, physical and mental torture inflicted at Iraq's Abu Ghraib prison stunned the entire world. There, the rhetoric, international law and human rights were nothing more than a dust. In the name of counter-terrorism, indiscriminate attacks has been carried out in Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya and Syria. Thousands of innocent children and civilians have lost their lives in drone strikes. Yet, America labeled this as a collateral damage in the name of establishing democracy in other lands. They have repeatedly stripped ordinary people of their right to live. It is not just a board. Human rights are also severely violated within America. The roots of systematic racism run so deep that even today, people lose their lives to police gunfire because of the color of their skin. George Floyd's final words, "I can't breathe," remain a profound shame for America's internal human rights situations. When the war breaks out in Ukraine, America becomes a vocal about human rights. But when thousands of innocent people are killed in Palestine, America supports that aggression and supplies weapons. This double standard proves that to America, human rights simply mean protecting their own interests. Will human rights remain only on paper, or will they be equal for everyone? When the US lectures on others on morality, do they ever see their own blood-stained face in the mirror? Perhaps we all know the answer.